Welcome to Framework. This is John, one of the hosts of Framework, and with me as always, the other host of Framework, Al. Good morning, Al.
Good morning, John. It's a great morning because I wished to have a do-over on one of the few episodes that I have missed recording with you over these last couple of years.
On horror movies, in fact. The recent horror movies, and specifically, me and frequent guest of the show, Brett Blake, had a conversation about a month ago about horror movies in general in 2026, and what a big year it's been. But, let's not kid ourselves. It's about two big horror movies this summer. It was a huge, huge horror movie summer for two movies specifically, Obsession and Backrooms. And they are kind of some of the most talked about films of the year. Obsession especially is my impression. Like, people are having a hard time letting go of that one. That remains at the front of people's ideas and thoughts about films all summer long, has been my impression. Regardless, they're both enormous successes and the big surprise hits of the summer.
Kind of interesting to me because if I had to choose between one of them, I'd say Backrooms made the bigger impression on me. And I wonder if Obsession being bigger with audiences and the discourse is related to somehow Backrooms already being sort of a known property to a lot of the fan base. So it's a surprise, but not as it doesn't feel quite as out of nowhere. Or
I would say that familiarity with the concept kind of explains part of Backrooms' success. It really is a sort of a convergence of people who do know what Backrooms is and people who do not know what Backrooms is, kind of being surprised by something that feels very original and not often seen. I think that kind of explains the cultural success of it and the financial success of Backrooms. Just being a good horror movie is not enough to become a culturally significant one.
I mean, and maybe another possible explanation for that is just that Obsession is a better made, better horror movie, and Backrooms just had an easier in for me because it's focused on a middle-aged man protagonist as opposed to actual young people.
Well, I
think it's more about the concept for me.
I think the Obsession concept is such a profound hook and such a thing that got its teeth into people, and that is, at the heart of its massive success. Like everyone has an opinion on everyone's opinion is Bear is actually the villain. That is the opinion.
I feel like I've seen so many horror movies with of that ilk before that doesn't even register as a twist to me.
No, it's self-evident in the premise, actually.
Yeah.
Well, the extent to which he is the villain and to which he is sort of a coward who doesn't understand or care to deal with his problems, that's a bit of a surprise, I guess.
But it is, Obsession could have been a Tales from the Crypt episode from 1992.
Literally is. There is an episode with the exact premise starring Andrew McCarthy and Meryl Hemingway. Yes.
There you go. And Backrooms has to be executed kind of just so cinematically. For as much as it started as a YouTube thing, it is about, it would be harder to have done that on a 90s syndicated TV budget.
It could have been an Outer Limits episode, man.
Maybe, yeah.
But even still, it's the weirder one.
The scale of it combined. I mean, it's sort of the scale combined with the lack of scope or something, like the way that it just kind of goes on endlessly, but is
to no purpose.
Empty.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm formless and functionless almost, or at least from what we can tell. That's where the creepiness comes from. And Obsession really rides on, one central performance, which is, fucking incredible piece of acting that should win awards.
Yeah.
I know the Oscars have tried to remake themselves in, kind of various images over the last few years as, being more woke, for lack of a better word, and using and more attuned to diversity stuff, and then a little more open to mainstream blockbuster fare. I feel like they might still be a little hoity-toity about horror.
They always have been. This is one of their biggest blind spots. We've spoken about this before, and I think you don't have to look much farther than Hereditary being the obvious exemplar. But kind of any acting performance in a horror movie, very hard to break through. I mean, if it's not Silence of the Lambs, I can't really think of a one where it happened.
But if anything was going to, I mean,
well,
you want to talk about, we talked about a lot with the Oscars, how all acting awards really tend to reward having the effort and the difficulty show up on screen. And the difficulty of this high wire act is all there on screen.
The thing about it is, Obsession has hit sort of a cultural froth over the summer. It has become kind of the film of the year, at least in the sort of the long play. This thing was in theaters for, honestly, it was like kind of still running strong when the damn thing premiered on streaming a couple weeks back. That's unheard of, like they had built in that not happening into their streaming schedule. And that's why,
like
it
was still in theaters when it was on streaming. And that was because they were not prepared for the level of success it found.
Yeah. So Obsession is just gigantic. And because of that, I think Indy Navarrete has a pretty good chance of sneaking into the Best Actress conversation, just because it's such a huge movie, such a significant movie that defines 2026 in a way. This movie will be timestamped 2026 as well. And as a result, I think she'll get a nomination. She might not.
The Odyssey has supplanted it as the movie of the year.
And but that's like, that and that'll be up for plenty of Oscars, but notably probably not Best Actress.
Well, that's the thing. It very well could, and it will be a crying shame if, the Odyssey, in my opinion, fine, deserves to win 10 or 11 Oscars or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
But if one of them is Anne Hathaway beating Indy Navarrete for Best Actress, that will be something of a travesty.
I don't think that'll happen. I think she'll be supporting actress anyway. But, regardless, if there's somebody's going to beat Indy Navarrete, it's probably in a film that hasn't come out yet, which is probably possible. I don't know. If I were to nominate...
Anne Hathaway has the option to just put herself in supporting and... if she change her weight class and dodge the fight.
Well, she has like 5 movies coming out this year. I imagine she'd be submitting for something else for Best Actress, honestly. Mother Mary or what have you, and other films that have not come out yet. It doesn't matter. The Indy Navarrete thing, I think it's probably a fait accompli at this point, just because of the cultural hegemony of Obsession. But you never know. It's still a horror film, and it's very much like a young person horror film, and kind of a grotty one. It's kind of mean and gross and low. So it'll be interesting if it does get in there. I think if they are serious about wanting to, do relevant films that people have seen and care about, then it's an obvious nomination.
Well, I think so. That's the thing. As much as it's about horror as a genre, it's probably more of a barrier to Academy, but specifically the generational thing, that it's such a young movie, and that the Academy voting block is, for as much whatever efforts they've made to be more hip and with it, are still very old as far as the median age goes.
That and horror movie combined, it could lock her out, but I still think they're going to do it. I think it was just so big. And everyone had to have an opinion on this. And frankly, if you watch Obsession, the first thing you're talking about coming out is, hey, that performance, huh? There's really no other thing to say first. So
I also suppose another thing that could work against both of these movies in terms of awards is the Academy itself could be resentful of these kids coming up through YouTube and not through the sort of proper traditional channels. And for as much as...
Oh, well,
I have to think the studios themselves are excited about, there's a cheap talent pipeline that's untapped and could maybe shock the box office back to life without having to spend $350 million per Ghost Rider movie that we make. That's exciting, but I don't know if the below the line people that make up the voting block, are they resentful of the whippersnappers that didn't come through USC Film School or whatever?
Hey, probably, right? I assume they are. I have a very, very low expectation for the Oscar prospects of Curry Barker or Kane Parsons, to be fair. I don't think these movies are going to get much of any nominations, except perhaps, Indy Navarrete, and maybe there's a screenplay nomination in there. I don't know. We'll see. Probably not. These, it's horror movies from the summer. They're not going to be,
right.
Because it's such a phenomenon. You might have to do Indy Navarrete, and that'd be the end of it. But you know what? Horror movies never really, that's not their game. The Oscars, that you can't be. You kind of have to expect them not to get in, generally.
I mean, I would think there might be something technical for Backrooms to get.
I'd love
sound editing or something like that.
It's an amazing sounding movie. An amazing sounding movie. So I would be into that.
I mean, it's not the most complicated trick in the world, I guess, but just the buzzing fluorescent soundscape of the Backrooms is key to its whole aesthetic. And the whole movie rests on that. So there is that. Maybe Chiwetel Ejiofor has enough just inherent gravitas and credibility to sneak his way into a nomination, but certainly not a win.
I wouldn't put any money on it. I think they're going to have plenty of other people to honor or to throw Oscars at. It's almost remarkable that Sinners made it in. What with its vampire cast, but even still, these are way more horror movies than Sinners was. And
but Sinners movie also looks and sounds like a polished, big budget studio project.
Absolutely,
and it's got period costumes. The Academy loves period costumes. And again, it's, very forward with its blackness in a way that the Academy had been rearranging itself to be prepared to celebrate that in a way I'm not sure that they're prepared to celebrate YouTube. But I don't know that we are, I don't know how we got into this because awards forecasting is not really what we do.
No. We can jump right off this. I do think that the fact of these guys being YouTubers and upcoming YouTubers at that, and both under 30 years old. Kane Parsons, I believe, is 21 years old now, which
under.
That's fucking nuts, man.
We're not talking about a 28 to 29-year-old here. This is
and the fact of that. Well, I don't know. Patrick Willems put out a video recently that basically conflated YouTube filmmakers with music video filmmakers of the 90s, people like David Fincher and Michael Bay, who kind of came up through those. And that is a pipeline that no longer exists because we don't have music videos really anymore. So this is he posited this is filling the gap. And that was really interesting to me. That could be the thing. I mean, especially as, the internet continues to gain primacy over all other forms of media. There could just be no dividing line between movies and YouTube essays at some point in the near future. So if these guys want to take, the filmmaking, pick up the banner and make real movies, and they're good movies like Obsession and Backrooms, I see this as a big win. I see that, this is exciting. This is young people stepping in to create art that is new and interesting and speaks to their generation. And that's kind of the best thing I think Obsessions has going for it, is that it is a movie about young people for young people,
I agree.
The older school wouldn't
music
make
video thing is interesting to me, in that the knock back then on music videos from the stodgy old guard, at least, is similar to what's the knock on YouTube would be, which is that music video editing is all about, it's this short attention span crap where you just gotta cut and keep their eyeballs there because the MTV generation is so after the head. But music videos, I guess, were cut frenetically with the idea that people were going to be looking intently at them, and you're going to have their attention. You have to fill that attention with just lots and lots of visual information, images, and cuts. And YouTube is also built around short attention spans, but also built around an assumption that you will not have the viewer's full attention, like visually, especially the entire time, which is an odd thing. I also wonder, is there something about, if this proves out that there's a YouTube to proper filmmaker pipeline, is horror the best or only conduit for that? I have a hard time seeing a YouTube style filmmaking converting to a fantasy epic, but
Well, I
Or
think
horror makes sense.
I think that horror is the obvious thing, and horror is always kind of the first into the trenches. In a lot of ways, it is inexpensive to produce and generally profitable. It is, a horror short story is a great format for YouTube as well. I'm not in the habit of watching short films on YouTube, but I do occasionally check out the horror one because it's going to come to a head and, have a sort of a cathartic release of some kind, which is generally going to be a scary face in the window or, something pops up at you. There is a setup and release kind of thing going on with horror, which makes it easy to be the first kind of films that you make, at home with your iPhone. And,
well, horror and comedy are both kind of suited for shorts, right?
Yeah.
That they work in that. You can kind of do sketches.
And that's why you get Jordan Peele's and Zach Kragers kind of have a natural facility with it. Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess because tone and surprise are the sort of stock and trades of both comedy and horror has been this explanation for that.
It's not a visceral. You have to have a visceral reaction for it to work. If a horror or a comedy is successful, you're kind of outside of your analytical brain and you're responding to it. You're either laughing or your pulse is going up. Sort of whether you want it to or not. You don't have to. Whether you've engaged with it mentally, you're going to have that reaction or you won't, which kind of means it succeeds or it doesn't.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, it's interesting to me that of all of them, they kind of Kane Parsons is the only one who actually worked in short form horror that I know of before. Like everybody else worked in sketch comedy and then converted to long form horror directly, more or less. I suppose there's a couple Key and Peele sketches that sort of, stick a toe into those waters.
Oh yeah, very much.
So maybe that's less true than I thought.
Well, I mean, you watch Key and Peele. It's fascinating how many sketches are structured like horror films. The serial killer in the Hall of Mirrors thing is the one I always think of, which is
lovely.
It's so intelligently like set designed and the shot design and the costumes they're wearing and the performance tones. It's so exactly a horror film, and then they can twist.
And then Peele's just like, perfectly calibrated comedic performance too.
Yeah.
God tier flinching in that sketch.
Yeah, I mean, they do that.
They do, they'll do a zombie apocalypse sketch. They've got the Urkel one that turns into Obsession.
That's amazing. I love that one. But they're not even limited by horror. They're kind of just students. At least I guess Peele is a student of tropes and filmmaking styles. The pirate shanty sketch is fantastic for that. It actually really, really has the visual language of a pirate shanty scene down cold.
I don't even remember that one.
Oh, it's pirates singing drunken shanty about their progressive ideas about women. It's really funny sketch. It's
okay, that does kind of ring a bell. It made me think. One thing I probably should have done before we recorded this was check out some of Curry Barker's sketch stuff, which I completely not.
Too. He is a comedy guy too. Yeah.
But I think actually, part of the reason why I liked both these movies so much was because I did sort of, studiously avoid knowing or tried to avoid knowing as much as possible going into them, and I think they worked for me much better. I mean, unfortunately, I kind of knew the premise of Obsession, so
that's
the first act takes a while to get going there. Nothing like out of the ordinary for a horror movie, really, but I'm a little bit like, I know where this is going, and I want to get to the part where she's cursed, and then I want to get to the part where we reveal that he's the bad guy, because obviously that's where this is going.
Yeah. Look, okay, so I have a thing about Obsession, a personal thing for me, which is that I wrote a play in like 2017, 2018 with basically the same premise, which was be
a stage play.
Yeah, and it was it's certainly not exactly the same, but it was close enough that and it was one of the better things I had written, and it was getting produced. It was like it was gonna happen, and here in New York. And then there was a pandemic, and I had a child and got a new job, and it kind of got onto the back burner. And now it's gone forever, because anyone who reads this play now is going to be like, oh, so it's obsession then, kind of. It's like, yeah, kind of. It's kind of just that. So I have a lot of... it was nice to see the premise executed really well, though. Like, in a lot of ways, Obsession is obviously the more cinematic kind of version of it. I mean, it's not
It's
a
more
play,
cinematic in the stage play version. Yeah, I would hope so.
But it's also sort of the version that is going to be more successful. It kind of is really well calibrated to find an audience and to play an audience. And, having gone through a lot of these plot beats, I was hyper aware of those choices that it made to kind of get people on board. And I appreciate them and respect them and think that's great. I also kind of see the cheats a little, you might say.
Yeah, I could see a little bit of that. And I mean, it must validate your instincts, at least.
It actually does. I kind of feel good about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would wonder, were you less heavy-handed about making the Wisher the bad guy?
More, I would say.
It went on?
I would say I was more heavy-handed.
Did you sort of save it for the end, or were you kind of just straight out of the gate with that?
Right out the gate. It is he summons a demon to make the wish. It is very, very intentional.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's bad, but that's like, you immediately know that in my version of it.
Yeah. But it's a monkey's paw thing where it
doesn't work out the way he intends it. Yeah. Kills himself in the end, etc.
So is it like this where he wishes to take over an existing person, or is it more of a real science, create me a perfect woman scenario?
No, it's his ex-girlfriend. That's the other thing. It's also about people in their 30s rather than in their 20s in a very obvious way. It's not like a girl he's got a crush on from far. It's the girl who dumped him kind of thing. And,
so there's a revenge aspect to it then.
Slightly. He doesn't see it that way, but yeah, that's sort of the undercurrent. Yeah. The resentment and anger, shit like that. Yeah.
That is different. I mean, it's not enough of a difference to convince people that, oh no, you got to put this on now.
Yeah, right.
It's not Obsession, the musical branded content. It's something totally different now. It's still pretty close, but that's a slightly different take. I mean, that's okay. We could talk. I mean, there's not that many people in Obsession to talk about.
Four of them, actually. And I guess Andy Richter.
Yeah, there you go. The fact. Well, I actually we should. I want to talk about the customer service people a little bit.
Oh, they're good. Yeah, you're right.
They're wonderful. But they're not real characters exactly. But so obviously, Indy Navarrette's the standout performance here.
Yes.
I don't know whether the guy who plays Bear, the main guy, is just not a guy with a guy who just does not have screen presence or charisma whatsoever, and will never like pop up on our radars again because he's just not very good, or he's giving the best performance, like most perfect performance ever as this guy with rolled a natural 2 on charisma stats.
I don't know. I'm inclined to think the latter. Because I think the performances aside, are pretty good all around here, and that is clearly the intention of this character. Is no Riz, and he's a pretty handsome guy. You could see him playing protagonists that you like. He wouldn't be exciting necessarily, but he just looks like a handsome dude. So I would say I think he's giving a very good performance. Is my guess.
Yeah. I could see his headshot and say, oh yeah, that would be a guy you could cast in a normal leading man role. It's hard for me to picture it now because it is such an effective performance of this guy who's not just, morally reprehensible, but also just such a spineless worm.
Well, yeah.
Which, it's so much easier. You can play a Bond villain and come back, and you don't lose the audience's respect right out of the gate the way that I think we lose respect for this guy.
We have
any other outside relationship to the actor.
I mean, this poor guy has the potential to ruin his career, despite being such a big hit. It could. As good as this is going to be for Indy Navarrete. Rumored to be playing Rogue in the new X-Men film now. That's how good it is for Indy Navarrete. I don't know if this guy, whose name I now don't remember, is ever going to show up in another thing.
I heard she was also in talks to be young Ashley Judd in Heat 2.
Oh, damn, that's good. Well, you know what? Yeah. Good for her. I guess that would probably suggest that DiCaprio is not playing Chris Shiherlis. I hope not. Anyway, whatever.
We don't have time to get into the curly Q of Heat 2 casting right now. Sorry to open that door.
Okay.
No, I mean, so maybe he's really. I mean, so the story I heard was that Curry Parker cast that guy specifically because he had so little chemistry with Indy Navarrete
that's funny.
Like audition process, which I mean, seems like a really risky way to go about things, even if I understand the impulse there, and it worked out because their lack of chemistry actually is very important to this movie.
Well, I mean, look, I'm very fascinated by Bear in this movie. I think this is like a really interesting kind of what you bring to it. Performance and character, and like he's inspiring a lot of outright detestation, and I think it is honestly less about him being a essentially a sexual abuser, rapist, etc., and just being loathsomely cowardly. Like as an audience, I think that we just like instinctively just like ooh, can't take that. That's
what I'm saying.
You're not going to find Bear defenders. Exactly.
No.
Yeah.
No, because even the people who might want to say, 40 minutes into the movie, well, Bear didn't really do anything wrong, or it's understandable, and he didn't wish this torment on her, blah, blah, blah. It's, the manosphere types are also just going to have no respect for him because he's being mogged constantly by his friend who's, I don't even know what the fucking terminology is to describe the doughy best friend who's, a perfectly normal looking guy, but a 4 by Hollywood standards.
Right. Yeah. Apparently a friend of Curry Barker's who is in his, a lot of his short films and videos and things like prior to this. And I've had seen some interesting speculation online that maybe he should have played Bear. That would have, that those actors swap roles, because I think then everyone kind of gets what we're going at with Bear, and I kind of disagree with that, because like he's pretty good at loathsome, but it's difficult to just imagine an audience sitting with that. I don't think it would have been the success if Bear was played outwardly loathsome. I think he has to be kind of this soft zero at the center of it.
I don't think that guy. I mean, I didn't think that the Ian character was even that loathsome. I mean, compared to what he's
pretty bad. Bear. Well, sure.
I mean, what's he? But he's hooking up with a girl that his friend has a crush on.
And he's playing manipulation games with the friend's head about it.
I suppose
that's not good. That
pales in comparison to the manipulation. Yeah, manipulation's too light of a word for what Bear's doing anyway. But the thing is, here's that actor, by virtue of being a normal looking person, would not have I think that the guy who does play Bear, I don't even have his name. I think it's Michael something, but he has to work kind of at the worminess and the complete lack of confidence. Has to kind of work past his being a Hollywood 9. Like there's something That's incongruous true. About how utter Bear is clearly a character who has never had a scrap of attention from women. And it's like, well, I don't know, just with that bone structure. By the time you're 25, someone has shown a glimmer of interest in you.
Well, that's not Bear, though. That's not, because the other girl, I forget her name too right now. I've seen this movie.
Sarah
is into him, and you buy that she's into him, Like, I think, I mean, I buy it because he's so handsome, but I do believe it. And
it's played as they're the old, the childhood friends, and she's always kind of had carry a torch for him. And I don't know if I buy that because he's such a nothing drip of a character.
Well, yeah, sure, but he is handsome. He's a good looking dude, So he's a little wounded fawn you can take care of, kind of thing.
If these kids were actually 18 instead of 25, I think that would be an easier sell.
They probably should.
In that case, it's what is necessary for this character web to work because there's only 4 real people in this movie, and you kind of need her to be in that position to get the story where it needs to go. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of like, there's a little bit of a hand wave there. I'm like, do I buy this? I don't care. I'm here for the brick.
Indeed. And that's all well and good. And I do think that character and her role in the script is really good and makes the movie better. So, I'm down to buy it, from the start, just because I think it's good writing. I don't know. I don't think that's not a problem for me. Because Bear's problem is not that he is just completely unfuckable, like that. It's that he's got this massive problem in his personality. As
written, I think he's pretty impossible to fuck. And that, even when he gets the opening, he just slithers away from it immediately.
Yeah,
it's
true.
Like how would you ever? I mean,
mm-hmm. And he is pointedly not. He's not even. Well, I guess he's aware that other girl is into him.
He doesn't seem floored by it.
Yeah, he's not super into that as a prospect, but he's aware that she likes him. So, all right. I do think it's important that we do have some ability to relate to Bear. I don't think the movie works and is a massive success unless Bear is relatable in some way. And I think he...
Oh, sure, but just unrequited love, or crush, whatever. That is such a relatable scenario to everyone.
Right.
Even the Hollywood Nines out there have at some point not had feelings reciprocated. And we all get that. And it sucks. So that provides, I think, all of this, the basic premise of that provides the empathy. And there's nothing in the characterization about how he handles it, before or after the wish, that invites really any kind of sympathy from any corner. Is how I like it.
Being unsympathetic is not the same as being unrelatable, though.
Yes.
I mean, I think anybody has had romantic failures in their life, moments of cowardice that they weren't proud of, when they were 18 or whatever. Yeah, that seems very, very relatable to. I have had that, so I get that, and I think that it's essential that it is relatable and universal in a way. And, he kind of reveals as the movie goes along the depth of his cowardice and shittiness, obviously. But
it reveals new facets of his crappiness as it goes on. And I do being unsympathetic to him from the start does not mean it's unrelatable. I understand his decision making at every juncture, and that is, I think, the really important thing for a Tales of the Crypt story of this type to work. But yeah, that he got more than he bargained for. What he bargained for was not a good thing to ask for if you stop and think about it, but he didn't seriously stop and sign on the dotted line.
No, every single person has wished somebody liked them, for God's sakes.
Yeah, of course. And then after that, trying to back out of it in the mealiest way possible. It doesn't require actually owning up to it. And that's all understandable, especially because what he required to own up to is consequences that are way out of whack from what his initial sin was. Mm-hmm. And then also be the point where he's, she's begging for death, and his response is to be hurt by is being with me really a fate worse than death? That's
great.
That's such a hurtful thing to and it regardless of how much of moral paladin you think you are, that's gonna fucking hurt to hear.
That's what's so great. It's such a fucked up, cowardly thing, and the nastiest thing he says, maybe in the whole film, and it's also relatable at the same time. It's just man.
It's a thing that as an adult you have to learn to feel and not say out loud.
Yeah. But that's okay. So about this though, about about the well, basically she's a demon possession situation here, right? I mean, essentially, like, this is the sort of unspoken thing about the film, is that she's not in love with him per se. That's not exactly what's going on. This is not strict rules of wishes here. Something else has happened. We're full on Pet Cemetery.
Yes, there's some Pet Cemetery to it. I was thinking, like, what are good double features with Obsession, and I could see AI as being
the Haley Joel Osment. Oh, that's creepy. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's from sort of a parental rather than a romantic thing, but it's you wished to be loved, and then having that is really unsettling. You could also go Once Upon a Time in Hollywood if you're just in a really anti-face mood.
Okay.
They just both that woman's face is being smashed.
Yes, I took me a second. And I was like, all right. It's face smash.
No, but this, yeah. I mean, it's also in sort of the Fatal Attraction mode, I guess.
Very much so. Yeah. Like, if you remove the wish from this, it's kind of interesting. I mean, then it's you're in a relationship. Guy's in a relationship with a woman who has severe mental problems. Yeah. And to what extent is he taking advantage of that? There's a movie there without the wish, frankly, an interesting one. And
yeah, I mean, if you don't mind being raked over the coals on Twitter for demonizing people with bipolar disorder, you could do this without a supernatural element at all. It just turns out that she's got damage that he was not aware of.
Yeah. I think that's a much less successful film.
No.
But
unless it's 1994, in which case you could just kind of do a bitches be crazy thing like that, and you put Michael Douglas in it, and it probably makes $89 million.
The young Michael Douglas version of this, very fun. That was, yeah. It is important, I think, that that it sort of remains grounded. So the stuff where there is like fully a demon inside her is, I don't know. It works is the thing. Like, as a horror movie, all that stuff works. The call with the customer service works. The part where she's
that's the best bit of the movie, I think, or the most effective.
It's really good. And the scene where where she's asleep and talking to him is similarly like really upsetting horror movie stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of.
Well, in the scene where he is sleeping and she's watching him sleep is.
Oh, well, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's where they're having the most fun with just sort of horror filmmaking and blocking, and let's make her move in a creepy cadence.
I like him trying to describe that after the fact. It's like, no, she moves weird though. How do we make her stop moving weird? That's what I really want. Like, that's fun. That is also kind of like the slightly more traditional horror movie stuff, moving in slow motion backwards kind of things. It's the stuff you see in a Smile movie, and
sure.
And I don't mean that pejoratively. I think those are kind of good movies too, actually, and also successful. I think probably playing to much of the same audience. It is sort of I mean, that's the thing. I think this all works in tandem to make this the hit it is. You need the sort of crowd pleasing, scary walk moments. And then you can have a conversation about consent. It's all part of the same thing. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, like, I think we're deep enough into the elevated horror era and all that like, it's not surprising that there's not like extra special juice of having a horror movie that also has a conversation about consent in it. Like, we kind of expect that to be something like that to be in there.
It's like a whole subgenre of horror.
Yeah, especially if you're going to do this premise. It'd be weird to try and avoid that stuff. That's none of that's a knock on Obsession. I think it's doing it well.
Undeniably. I mean, the cultural dominance is the proof.
Yeah, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with playing to the Smile seats with some of that stuff.
Not at all.
Use that stuff and the over the top. I mean, there's not a lot of, again, this is a movie that has 4 people in it. It's not going to rack up a huge body count. It plays as long as it can off of sort of The Office style awkward. It's
Cringe
queasily
horror.
funny in a lot of it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cringe horror. That's a good term for it. And it gets a lot of juice out of that. But then it still knows, okay, but at some point we have to smash a face
Right.
with a brick here, and it does not hold off on that. In fact, it does the extra couple to turn that queasily funny in a way too.
This is a black comedy.
Him
too.
with Bear especially, just like curling up into a ball and waiting for it to be over. And you can kind of see it in his performance. You're like, okay, that's enough. That's enough of them. Like, oh, 3, 4 more. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, mean little film. It's I don't know. This is not the meanest it could be, but I think it's the meanest it could be and be a huge hit, maybe.
Do you agree with me in thinking that it's meaner if he doesn't take the pills at the end? If like the wish gets done just before and it just like ends on them just both staring at each other, trapped in this love, like wishful love embrace now,
And presumably their true selves in some
are both screaming.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's actually a pretty good ending too. I don't think they ever actually.
That's even worse. I think I mean, as much as this movie ends with her screaming in terror over the credits and all that, like she's better off being freed. And from what, for
and going
as much
to
as
jail
she did
for
the
the
brick
rest of her
smashing.
life. Yes.
Yeah, like as much as she did the brick smashing, like she, is the victim here ultimately. Like I end up feeling more sorry for her than the person she killed.
Yeah, that's true.
Like it was over quick for them. But also, like, does she go to jail for the rest of her life, or does she run out the door and find $1 billion on the ground and fuck off to Ecuador?
Well, she doesn't know about the $1 billion, and that would be at Ian's house. So,
I'm sure he brought some. Yeah, okay.
But yeah, that's the best case scenario. Sure.
I want to.
Yeah, why not? Right? Hey,
I want something nice for her after all this. I mean, you don't blame her for the murders, right? That's the demon.
Of course not. No.
Right.
Well, this is the demon thing is the thing. Like, like that's the thing. The movie cheats, basically. The movie is like, yeah, you made that wish, but actually she's just going to be possessed by a demon and is going to fuck with you. How about that? And I kind of like that there's a bit of caprice to that. It's just like, this thing fucking doesn't work sometimes. Sometimes it'll ruin your life. Sometimes you just get everything you want. It's sort of chaotic.
I love that it's also like just on sale for like $8.99.
Yeah.
on shelves. That makes no sense, but it allows for, I do love the customer service stuff of this is wonderful. And it's something that does, I think, kind of mark it as Gen Z
Yes.
art. That, like, yeah, of course, like this is part, I think, of being young in the 2020s is you have to live in a world where corporations are just destroying entire swaths of the earth and the human experience, and they won't even like deign to put a human being on the phone with you to listen to your complaint about that.
Yeah. Do you think as corporations take over more and more of the resources and the power in the country, do you think customer service is going to improve as well?
No, I think we've already seen the trajectory, very much the opposite.
Yeah.
However, I think corporations, there might be something of a collapse of corporate power on the horizon, or at least
That'd be cool.
as embodied in the tech industry specifically.
That would be
I think
especially
that they've
cool.
been lighting a lot of their own money on fire, and eventually that's going to be a problem. But anyway,
Well, we'll see.
that's for a different podcast, most likely.
It's a different horror movie, which would probably be good and is probably being made right now.
Yeah. I will say this about, the character web, the 4 people here, it's very functional in its construction. And I like how everyone is acting in this. Like, meaning Ian, and the way Ian and Sarah's, their dialogue and their approach to this whole thing kind of mirrors Bear's in a less monstrous form, but everybody's like, well, she told me this one time, and I don't know. I didn't want to say anything because I don't want to start drama, and I didn't want to I need you later. I didn't want to blah blah. I didn't want to make it a thing, but everybody's trying to. All three of them are trying to find a way to navigate this, sort of like with the least engagement possible and with the least amount of candor possible. And their way, like their approaches to it reflect in a less bright way on his sort of towering cowardice in the back half of the movie.
Yeah. Sarah, as written, I think is, I mean, already been saying, I really think that part of the film is good. But I love the perspective she's bringing, which is that she is aware that Indy Navarrete is not into Bear, and that Indy Navarrete is aware that she is into Bear. From her perspective, she is being an insane asshole. I think that's really fun. That's
right.
fun.
Well, she's a fucking psychopath. I mean, it's not. We know that it's partly a demon or whatever, but yeah, I mean, she comes off as a lunatic, understandably, and also, that she knows that she has been hooking up with Ian and not telling, and neither of them are telling Bear about that, and she doesn't sit well with her. I'm still not entirely clear if Sarah and Ian had a thing going on too, or
I don't think so. Yeah. I mean, Sarah's into Bear, so and knows that Nikki and Ian are hooking up. So, this is the fun stuff. That this is a believable, like, sort of quadrangle of friends with weird kind of sexual positions, and there's a dynamic to them that feels real. I like that a lot. They all go to trivia together and work at the record store, and they just sort of don't know what they're doing in their 20s. That all feels so authentic. And this is what I'm talking about when I'm like, I like that this is a movie about young people by young people. Like, old school horror movie guys wouldn't really have this as cold. I think it would feel more, like Scream probably, which is fine, but doesn't really seem like it reflects what kids these days are up to.
Oh no, and you can understand. I can understand to a much greater degree what those girls would see in Skeet Ulrich, or even Matthew.
Of course, Lillard. Matthew Lillard.
He seems like he's fun. He's got personality, whatever. The only part of that quadrangle that is not believable to me is that anybody would have any feelings for Bear as presented in this movie. But
he's handsome.
I understand. We have to get we need people to have those feelings to get us to the climax of this movie too. And he needs to not be likable to get us to the premise of this movie. So understandable. Close enough. It doesn't have to be a mumblecore movie with precise believability for this premise to work, because it does work. And I don't know. I mean, as we circle, as we close out Obsession, maybe we circle back and just praise Indy Navarrete one or two more times. Just what an incredible degree of difficulty here. The way she has to switch within single scenes to go from all the different things she's trying to. I mean, beyond the glimpses of real Nikki being terrified and in agony, then has to like flip to the simpering mode of trying to get to him, and then to being like more seductive, and then into the bouts of rage, and to flip between all those in a way that all of them are sort of can be unsettling in their own ways, in their own different ways within the same scene. Like, that strikes me as somebody who's never acted to be a very, really difficult acting challenge.
Yeah. It's good. She is reaping the rewards, obviously, and it's exciting to see kind of a newly minted star in this way. I am curious what the next performance looks like. If she doesn't have a huge hook like this to play with, this is a gift for an actor, this kind of role. I'm curious what comes then. And I'm optimistic about that because in her first scenes in this film, when she is just Nikki, that she's really, really likable and compelling, which she must be for the film to work. So I think that'll be just fine, and it's exciting. So
Yeah,
good for
her representation, though, you have to be done. Like, okay, you have to do a normal person next.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But she can do that, is my impression based on the beginning of the film. So yeah. Probably gonna see her in a lot of stuff going forward. Maybe none of the others ever again, though, which is interesting. Like Bear, particularly, seems like what good are you gonna like? You can't cast him as a likable person. Not
That's
right
what
away.
I'm saying. That's I think he maybe ruined out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the guy who plays Ian could end up being sort of the Bruce Campbell or Ted Raimi of Curry Barker.
Probably more the Ted Raimi, I think. But yes, he could.
Just we see him in small speaking roles in every Curry Barker movie, but not a lot else. That's a possibility. Or maybe he's got depths outside. Maybe he's actually perfectly playing the Ian character here to the degree that we don't credit it as acting almost. And,
could be.
We'll see more from him. Well, who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, good film, deserves a success. It's you know, I have nothing negative to say about this. I don't think I'm as over the moon as some people are. You know, maybe just because I've seen a lot of horror movies, or maybe because I wrote that goddamn play that is no longer of use to me. But beyond that, Backrooms. I think both of us, this was kind of the more exciting one.
It is. I almost, but I'm not sure if it's as good to talk about.
Not the way to consider it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it says if. I think it might be a frog that you could kill by dissecting it to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
But I really liked it. And if anything, my gripe with the movie, it gets a little silly with the big monster at the end in a way that's kind of deflating. But honestly, for me, like I was happy to have a bit of deflation there at the end, because the first half of it was like working on me so well in the unsettling. I want to be like, God damn it, guys, just take a break from the Backrooms for a minute. Get out of here.
Yeah. I like the pirate myself, but you're right. It definitely reduces the film in a way. At that point, it becomes we need an ending for this horror movie, kind of, and boy, have we got a silly one. But if I'm, once you start poking at the pirate, it's kind of becomes a little more interesting for me. Like the fact that it looks like that is, well, why? Why does it look like that? And you have to think about that a little bit, and that's fun. I enjoy all that. And it looks like that because it is the collective memory of people seeing the pirate commercial starring Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yeah, but I think the other homunculi inside the Backrooms are so much better and more effective versions of the AI distortions of the faces of his ex-wife and stuff.
I
more
would
than
agree.
the peg-leg 14-foot pirate. But does Backrooms feel to you like something wholly new, or does it feel like a type of horror that you're familiar with?
Well, I'm familiar with Backrooms, literally. There's been shorts on the subject, many shorts online for, a while now. And I'm at least a little bit keyed in to internet horror.
But Kane Parsons did make the very first one, right?
I think so, yes. Pretty sure.
Okay.
Let me double check that. He's so young. And it feels like it's been around a little bit longer than that. But there is a very, very famous Backrooms video. The first one you see, if you with the robot kind of thing. 2022.
Yeah, that's the one. I watched that after the
and
after
yes, it is Kane Parsons. And there are many others, but that's the one that everyone.
But that is the original one. He wasn't riffing on the concept that was already out there. I mean, so that's what I was like. Some stuff about this feels kind of familiar to me. And I'm like, okay, like Annihilation feels like a companion piece to this, and maybe even something like Event Horizon,
yes,
or like a Sphere. I don't know if Solaris really goes as far, but like there's this unknown space that we are sort of taking expeditions into, and it's like what we know we're only going to find worse and worse things as we go, but we're going to go anyway, and that. Well, that's more of a sci-fi concept than a horror concept in some ways.
Yes, except this sort of, I guess that there is implied by the Mark Duplass character that there is a science behind this.
Yeah, there is.
In some way or another, like this is a natural outcropping of something that exists, some process in nature, that maybe that we're unfamiliar with, I guess it is science fiction, ultimately.
Yeah, I suppose so. Okay, so what do you think about the Duplass angle of it? Do you like the science fiction angle of it? Would it be better left even more unexplained?
I mean, it's such a small part of it that I almost don't have an opinion. Like, I guess it kind of it puts a bit of structure onto what this is, and it almost feels like a tease for a sequel, which is definitely going to happen, more than anything. But the fact that it is being observed kind of just like it opens the universe in a way. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it hurts, though.
I think it actually helps for me overall.
Okay. They don't
establishing
explain much there. It's just sort of...
No, it doesn't overexplain much, but what it establishes just enough to know this is a genuine phenomena that with real threat to it. It's not an all in his head thing where Chiwetel is just dragging his workers and therapists down into the basement of his store and torturing them. And they're not seeing the back rooms, or, it's not, for as much as I think there's something a little deflating of the back rooms being filled in with the, buried traumas within your own mind. That's a very elevated horror trope that I think be overplayed. I like that it closes the door on this is all in one person's head interpretation of it.
That's fair.
It's everybody. It's pulling things out of people's heads, but that just adds to the unsettling nature of it. Those rooms are really there.
Yeah, I like that. That is for sure. That it is a location. That ultimately this place exists in some form or another. Maybe not in our world, but it's a place you can walk around and chart.
Mm-hmm.
I like that it means nothing. I think that's my favorite part, is that it appears to just be a thing that is happening for no reason.
Well, why I'm hesitant to dissect too much about it is because I think this better off the unsettlingness of the entire environment. Like it touches on things but I don't want to reduce it into allegory, because that will ruin the vibe that is actually unsettling about it to me. If it's like, oh, well, it's just it's a metaphor for your subconscious where your regrets cannot to devour you or whatever. I think there's something genuinely alien about it. But obviously within that, it the way it's presented represents some manifestation of anxieties about AI. And the way that it's sort of just endlessly iterative but also degrading the quality of thing. And like I said, aimless. It is endless form with no function, and there's a horror to that.
Yeah, and I find it so fascinating that this eschews many of the kind of tropes of horror that you would expect such a thing. I mean, Black Mirror version of this, I imagine, like the duplicates of people within the backrooms, the refracted versions of these characters are explicitly not conscious. They're not you're not trapped in a hell here, You're not some broken version of yourself, sentient, in this weird environment like you might be in a Black Mirror episode. It is fully just like a useless reproduction. It's just like this weird dummy. And it's not the sort of first thought you would have if you were crafting a horror story, but the fact of its just sort of inexplicable nature, it just sort of turns the brain a little. It makes you uncomfortable.
Your horror story, the basic premise of it is that the horror is rooted in the emptiness. That it does become, maybe not, but at least your second thought, that we can't have the backrooms become too populated, and that becomes a problem. But they also there needs to be something there. There needs to be an actual threat roaming around in there. And that's a tightrope you have to walk, I think. And like I said, if it's filled with just, demons, your own personal demons, whatever, that's a different horror and also a different worry or anxiety about AI, because there's the terror that AI is going to be Skynet. and we'll create actual intelligence that will be smarter than us, and turn on us, or that we are. We created sentience and now we're tormenting it somehow, is very different than it's just endless hall of mirrors reflecting compliments back at us to keep us coming through or using it, but there's no there.
It's just boundless amounts of information, just an eternity of duplicative kind of shapes and sizes and perspectives and things that has no purpose and just exists there. That is kind of draws you to it.
Aren't even that good of recreations.
No, they're compromised. They're it's the multiplicity rule.
Yeah, they're not even useful in that way. Like, you could do some really useful therapy if those were really full manifestations of your ex-wife. But,
well, I mean, you can eat them, I guess. I do like that. That solves the screenplay problem too, by the way.
It does, yes.
Yeah, it's really good.
Because I was wondering at that point, like, how was he supposed to be sustaining himself in here? You can't tell me that there's blackberry bushes growing in the back rooms. That kind of ruins the vibe.
Yeah, no, there's just some weird person cotton candy that you can eat, I guess. How do you figure that out? It's a good question. All that's fun. Ultimately, though, it is the thing where the actual the real danger is man. What you really need to be worried about is Chiwetel Ejiofor is scary, and he will kill you because he's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, even he, comes
or a
back
pirate
to
I
himself
guess.
a little bit at the end. I mean, that's another great point, moment of representation of the AI anxieties. Is when the pirate shows up to the kitchen area and Clark is easier to say than Chiwetel. So I'm just going to remember his name is Clark now. Tells it like, oh no, it's okay. She says we don't have to change.
Oh, it's so good.
Like that. Now, again, I don't want this to be a perfect allegory about anybody's relationship to AI, but that is a really good refraction of the thing of just the sycophancy. And that's one of the big dangers of chatbots is that they can trick people into thinking that they're getting therapy when all they're really saying is you were right all along and you're great. And
jeez,
tell me what else you think, because that might be great too. And I would love to tell you if it is.
I mean, it does consume him shortly after this. I mean,
yes,
it's got a bit of a point on it at that point, but it also
yes, we need a monster for this movie to close.
Sure, certainly. Do you think they might have been better off with the sort of indistinct shape that they use in the shorts rather than a goofy pirate man? I don't know. I kind of enjoy the pirate, but.
Based on a little bit of I understand about the shorts, it's the weird shape is sort of like becoming more closer to some sort of humanoid form.
It's the same idea. It's like
as the Parsons shorts go on.
It's the same principle as the pirate, but it's a little. It's not a 12-foot pirate marionette that looks like Chiwetel Ejiofor. So
but it's like a 12-foot marionette made of coat hangers.
Right, it's objects and thoughts and things collectively, crammed together. But I mean, it's a pirate guy at the end of this movie with a funny face. So, like, is that reducing it at all? Does that
yes,
flatten it?
But again, I it's partly safe for me to see that they have taken the giant pirate guy and are doing an autopsy on it. Like, it's not.
Sure,
you know what I mean. It's not just a projection of one guy's psyche that is going that dissipates into fog when he dies or something. Like there's a real phenomenon here that this is really unsettling J. Duplass's sense of reality. Mark Duplass.
I do find this movie difficult to to fully explain why it affected me so much, and I prefer this to Obsession. Not by a lot, but. I would say this might be my favorite horror film of the year so far. It's right up there at least, and it's really effective. And I think, as you say, trying to define it is a struggle for me because it does feel like crushing the butterfly under the glass a little bit. When you start pointing it out and taking it apart, that does seem to rob it of a little bit of its power. Just in the breaking the thing by dissecting it, and I don't know if that speaks well of it necessarily.
I said it worked well on me, and it worked on me in a way that most horror movies don't. That Obsession did not. Just again the whatever the liminal horror they call it. I think that the creepy spaces were generally creeping me out, and I'm old and jaded, and I was just excited that a movie was having that an effect on me like that. That is very rarely achieved. And yeah, it almost feels like continuing on, it has to explain it in some way, and in some way that will deflate it. I saw some remarks from Kane Parsons that suggested that he's got, that there will be more Backrooms movies, and he's got some form of mythology in mind for it that will unspool, that we haven't seen the last of that company, that Mark Duplass's employer and all that. I have a theory of what the ultimate explanation for the Backrooms is that I make sense of it to a degree. I kind of hope is never fully articulated. But
let's hear it. What's the plan? What is it?
I'm worried a little bit that it's going to wind up being a sort of simulation theory thing of our whole reality is a simulation, and the Backrooms are sort of a developer mode, or level builder app that people are not supposed to be in, but it's for the whatever alien intelligences to.
Right. So you go through the wall in Mario Brothers, and you can, look at the underside of the game kind of thing. Yeah. You clip out, basically. I mean, I think that is,
they call it, which I think is in the original, in the original YouTube videos description that Kane Parsons wrote is that you can no clip out of reality. And I hope it's not, I kind of hope it never becomes that straightforward.
I think that is what it is. Whether it's, what all that would be doing is making it literal.
Right.
And there's no need for that.
I guess I'm talking about both sides of my mouth here, and I like how literal that is the Backrooms are a physical place, and I also don't want the explanation to get that literal, that it's the Nemoidians running the simulation. I don't want to meet the aliens.
It would be a bummer if it was a simulation theory movie franchise. I want it to get more confusing before it gets any explanation.
That's the challenge for sequels. Yeah. That's necessary, I think.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think the Backrooms you can make 10 of these movies if you don't explain anything. That would be my goal. If I were in charge of this, I want this to be Saw, I'd want this to be like this big, long, iterative thing that we keep bringing new weird shit to, and it gets crazier and weirder all the time. But yeah, the less definition possible. This movie succeeded with its lack of definition.
But that's the contradiction there, is you have to keep bringing new stuff to it.
Yeah, they'll explain it at some point. And
but
it'll be bad.
How do you do that without more stuff will provide definition in some form, unless you're some sort of artistic genius that can kind of thread that needle in a way that's not obvious.
You could go literally forever in this. You could be reduced to just to no environment by the end somehow, like just sort of abstract shape and exist in that realm somehow. I don't know. I mean, you look at the if you're a big horror nerd, there is a franchise called Cube. Some people have seen the first one. Very few people have seen the next two Cube films. And this kind of, if you have seen those, you can kind of be like, I imagine this might go in a Cube direction. Are you familiar with those films at all?
I've heard of them. I have not seen them.
Yeah, it's characters wake up and they're in a very weird, large room that turns out to be part of a larger cube, and there's booby traps and weird shit throughout, and it gets multi-dimensional, and it gets there's multiple timelines, and it gets weirder and weirder and weirder over the course of only 3 films, and none of them are very good, but the premise kind of grabs you. It's kind of really compelling, and Backrooms feels like it owes a debt to Cube more than a lot of other horror films would, and I kind of like the idea of them going farther with that thing and making it absolutely bizarre and weird and maximalist and just
but maximalism is kind of the opposite of the Backrooms premise, isn't it?
Well, I mean, how far does this thing go? I mean, how much bigger can this get? Much bigger than we imagine, I would think, And I don't know, you might need to be locked into the, abandoned mall aesthetic. Mm-hmm. Is that part of the power? Or can you see what the rest of the Backrooms look like once you've got away from the mall? Because presumably, as the premise is, presented here, there's like every environment has a version of the Backrooms.
Well, yeah, there's one of the YouTube videos. The person finds like a window. It looks like an apartment block.
Yeah,
like looking down, kind of like from Dread, just kind of going down endlessly.
I mean, I guess it always kind of has to be an industrial space. Yeah, It always has to be some form of liminal space. Something that you're moving between. I guess is sort of
and it's unsettling because it's a man-made space. It can't be wilderness, like that.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, they'll try at some point. They'll try wilderness at some point if we get to Backrooms 7 or 8. I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll have to. Say it. You have to bring something new to the table, and it's gonna be hard. I hope. Mm-hmm. I think that Parsons had. He's so young that things that I would assume are influences, if this were coming from a director who was 15 years older, there's probably just a lot of stuff that Parsons has not seen because he's
probably
had 20 less years to watch stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think The Shining and the Cube series are probably things that he has seen and were influences on this.
Yeah, The Shining for sure. Mm-hmm.
I kind of hope that it's weird. So the premise of Backrooms is a lot like the book House of Leaves.
Yeah.
Which is a great book that, again, this something about this horror of empty, endless spaces works on me, that eldritch quality. I kind of hope he doesn't read that book, just because the premise is so similar that I think it might get into his head about, in some way that could be negative. What I would hope that he does read is the Southern Reach trilogy that Annihilation, mm-hmm. the movie is based on the first book of that.
I haven't read that.
You should. You'll like them. And that's such a good, not exactly a blueprint, that's too specific, but example of doing sequels that go deeper into this premise of this eldritch space, and provide more angles and information without explaining it.
I guess those are about cataloging an alien space, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
very much so.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and they take on sort of the sequels take on more of the perspective of the corporation outside trying to do the research, and that they're able to do that without puncturing the mystique or
sounds hard
things. That would be the successful example of this I can think of. What would otherwise strike me as an impossible problem.
Well, that sounds more compelling, honestly, than duplicating the Cube movies or Saw movies. So, that would be nice, I suppose. Yes. I look at this and I see so much potential, though, for a franchise. It feels like there's so much they could do here. It's almost impossible that they'd get it right, frankly. It's such a small target to hit, but the potential is huge, at least. And,
sure. But I mean, as a horror fan, also, you're like,
well, yeah,
not like
all the Friday the 13th movies.
They had never made Halloween 5. I wish they never made Halloween 2 because Halloween 5 was a letdown. Like, who cares? The first one will still be there.
Oh yeah, there's an enormous amount of charm in the long-running horror franchise, even if it's not scary anymore. That's kind of what I'm hoping for, because I don't think Obsession is a long-running horror franchise. Backrooms definitely could be.
No, I think there's some like Easter eggs in the magic shop of like, maybe we could make this an anthology thing of people like buying different cursed objects.
Sure, but it's a different thing at that point. you know?
Yes.
Or you're doing a series of One Wish
it's Tales from the
Willows.
Crypt.
Yeah, and that's fine. You know, maybe you can make something good with that. But yeah, Backrooms is one where I'm just like, wow, you know, it's rare to leave a horror film being like, wow, I want to see a very long franchise about this, and this is kind of ready-made for that. I mean, and yeah, like you say, a lot of potential to ruin it and stuff like that. But you know, there's still opportunity here. I mean, this could be, you know, a big thing. This could. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm curious as to how the next one will do, because there will definitely be a next one.
Yeah, it also feels kind of special to be in 2026 to come out of it being like, oh, I want to see more of this lore.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We've been drowned in lore for like 15 years now, it feels like. But this is one where I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, even though I know that the next room has to just be another kind of empty space.
Maybe it'll be upside down, though. You know, this one looks like a
maybe
daycare.
Ooh. There's a fan with a weird number of blades.
Yeah, all that stuff though. That's great. And I do think that just the way the film is shot and scored and edited, like all that, I think is actually kind of masterful. Like there's a sustained spell that this thing. I love the sound, as you said. The way this movie sounds is very important and really, really effective, really strong. I mean, kind of nightmarish shit, you know. That's some really good Kubrick influences. Yeah. I love how much this sounds like The Shining.
I mean, the red Christmas tree room, scene on its own is just a fantastically composed horror thing. The fucking, who is that little guy with the fucking lamp? Like, what is that? And then and then like him turning on the lamp is the first sort of indication, like, oh, these things can move, and then, you know, the wife starts shuffling around nowhere, and again, classic horror movie stuff. Again, oh, that lady's moving weird. that gets you to recoil.
It does. You know, that's the thing. If you respond viscerally, as we were saying, it's done its job.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So I think it's hard to say that Backrooms and Obsession didn't both do their jobs.
Well, to say the least, man. The runaway successes of the year, at least until Odyssey showed up, and presumably Spider-Man. We're recording this before that came out, but apparently it's going to be huge. They tell me.
I'm sure it will.
But yeah, these things will linger. I mean, they had the entire front of the summer to themselves, you know, like they were trouncing everything. Mandalorian and Grogu, Masters of the Universe, Disclosure Day even. It all kind of just fell by the wayside in the conversation as these things just dominated and people kept coming back to them and discussing them. And that is exciting. That is a big thrill that weird little indie horror movies kind of captured the public imagination and, you know, and new stuff, new things.
If it's bringing in a generation of movie lovers,
yeah,
I mean, that would be great. Or just, I mean, you know, whatever. It doesn't have to. There doesn't have to be a billion of them, and they don't have to all love movies with their entire soul. But just an interest in going to the theater among people who are under 25, that's exciting and interesting, and maybe, you know, people that now feel like their stuff is being put up there. I mean, as much as their childhoods were defined by having these superhero properties blasted all over everywhere, and those are still around, that's still stuff made by a prior generation to sell them toys. And this is now them sort of speaking with their own voice to it more, perhaps. I mean, maybe it's easy to overstate what that might actually mean, but it's great that if it's bringing them out on their own accord to see stuff without capes and tights.
Another exciting aspect of that is that horror is kind of in need of a new trend to dominate for a little while. Like there's usually a very popular franchise that is sort of the flagship for an entire genre of horror. You know, we had Saw was the torture porn, and then that went to found footage and the Paranormal Activity movies, and we've kind of been just doing versions of The Conjuring or Insidious for like a dozen years at this point or something, and with diminishing returns without anything that's kind of risen up to take over, you know. So it's just a lot of those things, and they've kind of run their course. Horror needed a new thing. And what's kind of exciting about Obsession and Backrooms, if they are indeed the vanguard there, is that it's not a specific genre exactly.
Oh, well, I did see a preview in front of that for Other Mommy, the Jessica Chastain
Always room for stuff like that.
thing.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And well, yeah, but like, do these not feel of a piece that the? Well, okay. Here's the interesting thing. I mean, I don't know what Other Mommy's going to be exactly, but from how it presents, the monster in all these movies, whether it's Pirate Clark or possessed Nikki or the other mommy, it is a wrong version of someone and someone close to, and maybe that is it's filtering AI anxieties because that AI is spitting back slightly wrong versions of ourselves at us constantly.
I think you got something there, man. I think that might be right.
That's the next generational thing. And I don't know how this would apply to Other Mommy either, but it's interesting to me that between Obsession and Backrooms, the monster is one thing, but the ultimate villain is this guy and his insecurities and failings that he will not own up to is the actual source of the evil, if not the direct, physical threat.
I mean, it puts me in mind of the way Body Snatchers movies kind of come up. Moments when people don't trust one another. Moments of discord. Usually when people are complaining, or usually when communism is being touted as a big problem. You see a lot of movies about no, that person is now wrong. There's something off about them. They're different now. Something's different about this person. Maybe they're not even that person. They just look like that person. That is a thing that keeps kind of coming back into the popular consciousness. And I would say all three of these films have, well, excitingly, a version of that, but not the old Body Snatchers saw. It's kind of a modern take on it in different ways. That's pretty cool, man. I like that.
Yeah, it's not Body Snatcher. You've been replaced by the Borg or whatever. It's not traditional sort of werewolf type. Or Jekyll and Hyde thing. It is an externalized. I guess with Obsession it's a little Jekyll and Hyde-ish, but it really does. I don't know. It feels different to me than just like they're not. They're transforming into this monster. It's that something is off and wrong there, and they're doing a bad impersonation of humanity.
Love that. Love tracking this sort of thing.
I don't know if we'll do a episode for Other Mommy or not.
It looks good, man. Maybe, I don't know. Might be the next big horror movie of the year. Yeah. Looks scary.
But we will do an episode about Spider-Man: Brand New Day.
That will actually have been out before this one comes out, I believe.
Yeah. Yes. We'll probably release that first. We are middle-aged men trapped in our own prisons of nostalgia and regret and so forth.
Oh, man. What if we get chased by a fucking homunculus Spider-Man at some point? That would be so awful. To be devoured by some pop culture relic.
I mean, metaphorically, that's what's occurring to us. It's already happening.
Cool.
You know what? I might but I probably praised Spider-Man to the rafters already. So
yeah, maybe it's great. Maybe we love it. All right. Well, thank you for listening to this, and we'll continue to check in on horror as it comes out. I demand that we.